So this is going to be another quick video looking at the modularity between Project Aurora and all the uppers and the different variations you can have thereof. To start out with, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the modularity between the different magazines. So firing Nexus Pro darts from a Talon mag, and drop those out. Next up will be the Katana mag. And finally, we're going to be firing the Nexus Pro dart out of the Nexus Pro magazine. Alright, so there you have it. Demonstrated differences between the three different magazines. Now we're going to go over a little bit of the modularity of the platform. So go ahead and bring it in closer. We're going to take a look at the upper and lower receivers. So as it sits, this is the carbine version of Project Aurora. Note that the side of the barrel assembly is smooth. It only has the 20mm Picatinny rails on the top, and the side plates themselves are smooth. Now if we go ahead and take a look at the SOCOM version of the upper receiver, note that it now has quad rails. You have the 20mm Picatinny on both sides, as well as Picatinny rail on the side plates. And again, looking at the Demolisher upper receiver, notice that the upper receiver itself has the M16 carrying handle. Actually, that was something I meant to point out in this one. The SOCOM, in this particular variant, receiver has a charging handle, faux charging handle on the upper receiver itself. Now, in terms of modularity, all these parts are completely interchangeable. They can be used in basically any configuration you want. All of the internals between the SOCOM version, the carbine version, and the Demolisher version are all identical as far as the internal workings of them. The only thing that is different is the barrel assemblies themselves. So a good example of modularity of these two systems is if we go ahead and take a look at this particular version. This has the carbine barrel assembly on the standard upper receiver, but note that for this particular variant I've chosen to go with the SOCOM side plates that have the 20mm Picatinny rails on these. Now these side plates themselves can be easily interchanged between these two, or pending that we can go ahead and interchange them onto these. They're the same dimensions for mounting, it's just a matter of what you want on here. And further down the line there can be options for customization on these side plates as well. It would be fairly easy to include really any emblem that you can want that is going to capture at the printable level of detail. So one of the other things I'd like to demonstrate is the compatibility between all of the upper receivers and the lower receivers. So I'm just going to go ahead and disassemble these two. So pop the upper receiver off that one, set that aside, do the same for this one, set that aside. Now we're just going to go ahead and take this upper receiver and mount it on that lower receiver. I'm not going to put the quick assembly pins in for the purpose of this. We can change it from this one if we want, and go ahead and install the Demolisher rocket upper receiver. Now it fires Demolisher rockets, or we can pop that one off, and you can go with more of a Milsim upper. So you can just set this one on here as well in this configuration. Now, looking forward at, or looking into the internals, you can come in close here as my follower pops up. Internal to the lower receiver, the assembly is completely the same. I can keep all my parts installed. So it uses all the same components on the lower receivers regardless of what buttstock is installed on them. But taking a look at the upper receiver, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the carbine upper, the SOCOM upper, which this one has the 16mm aluminum barrel installed and this has 17/32 brass, and the Demolisher upper receiver. Now if you look internal to the upper receiver itself, they are all identical. They have the same plunger, they have the same plunger tube, they have the same pusher, and the only real difference is on the Demolisher, the pusher itself has a bit of brass just glued onto the end, but other than that it is all the same. It uses the same catch mechanisms, and they are completely interchangeable. So if you wanted, for example, the Demolisher upper receiver without the M16 carrying handle, and you instead wanted it to be flat top, these two upper receivers are completely interchangeable. It's just a matter of swapping the barrel assembly. Same goes for the upper receiver that's on the SOCOM currently with the T-head pull on the back of it. It is completely interchangeable with the flat top upper. So if you wanted this designed with this barrel, but you didn't want the faux T-pull on the back, you would just print this upper receiver. It is completely compatible. Now, going forward, the plan is to maintain compatibility across the entire upper receiver platforms. Obviously, within reason, there are some design allowances that have to be made. In particular, with the full auto electric upper, it will not utilize, obviously, any of the same internal components, but it will use the same mounting points that attach the upper receiver to the lower receiver, as well as the trigger pickup. So when you switch from the upper receiver that is pump action spring powered to the full auto electric upper, the only thing that will need to happen is you take the spring and the follower assembly out and then put the electric upper receiver on there, and there will be a switch that activates off of the stock trigger. There'll be no other additional components that you have to install. So that's been a quick overview of Project Aurora. I'm just going to go ahead and demonstrate the assembly again one last time. I'm going to put the spring and the follower in the buffer tube, ensuring that the follower is aligned in the correct position. And I think we'll put this upper receiver back on it for right now. So we're just going to go ahead and put them back in there. Stick the assembly pins in the side of the gun. Sorry, lost her. Put the pins in, prime it, mag in, fire. And that is where I'm at with Project Aurora. Thanks for watching.